I go really fast, and it's easy to miss little pieces of information. So check the archives, just review them, and just make sure you get everything. Thanks.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Coy. Take care. Okay, let's go to Brian in Texas. What's up, Brian? Welcome to the Bright Side.
Hey, Ben. How you doing?
Doing good.
Nice to hear. I've been trying to get in touch with you for the last couple of weeks. I keep missing you, but I have a question about. I'm a trainer, so I have a question about a client of mine that is on a whole bunch of medications. And I'm sure you're not going to say it's bad.
Speak into the phone, Brian.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me better?
You're kind of going in and out. What was your question?
So I wanted to ask you about a client of mine, but I also, real quick, if I could ask you about a couple things you talked about last week about food. So you were talking about eggs and not cooking them, like the rawer they are, the better it is for you?
Yeah.
So how much can you cook an egg without destroying the cells?
There's no way to really know. To the degree that the texture of it changes is the degree you're starting to break up the proteins. You're denaturing the proteins. And where that cutoff point, it's on a continuum. You know what I'm saying? So we're that exact cutoff point where it becomes worse than, you lose all the benefits and it just becomes purely bad. I don't know where that cutoff point is, but it's on a continuum, and the more you cook, the more you're degrading the protein, and certainly you're losing the enzymes, et cetera. If the egg is fresh, it's a wonderful, wonderful living, not exactly living food, but it's got a lot of compounds that are important for life in it. But as you cook that egg, those substances get destroyed, and there's no cutoff point. I couldn't tell you the answer to that.
Okay, I understand. And then also you were talking a lot about sugar and the negative effects about sugar. And I stay away from processed sugar. But do you feel the same about like sugar that's coming from fresh fruit and organic stuff?
Well, in fresh fruit and in produce, you're always going to get I talked about this yesterday, actually. There's always going to be cofactors that help your body process that sugar. So it's much better for you to get sugar from a whole food than it is the concentrated essence of sugar, which, for the millions of years that humanity has been on the planet, we never had purified sugar. It's only been 100 years or 200 years or 300 years, a very short amount of time from an evolutionary perspective, that our bodies have had to confront this pure sugar. In foods, you have the cofactors. However, with genetic modification, not necessarily high-tech genetic modification, but all genetic modification that's been going on for thousands of years, sugar has become concentrated in fruits. So even fruits are going to be out of balance in terms of sugar and the nutrients that are important for processing the sugar. Bottom line is, you don't need it. Oh, you need a little bit, but you don't need excessive amounts of sugar. What we're doing is we're eating for our taste buds, and we're eating for our brain. And I'm not beating anybody up about this, by the way, because I do it myself. We're eating to satisfy our brain, not our bodies, and we're paying the price for that. And so, do you need the sweets and do you need the sugar, Brian? That's really the ultimate question. Is it going to make you better in any way, aside from the fact that you like the taste, and you're going to get a big hit of dopamine and pleasure hormones in your brain? Is there a need for it? Go ahead.
I actually don't like fruit that much. I eat it because I think it's healthy. That's why my point is,
veggies.
I was wondering if I should
go veggies.
Increase my fruit intake.
Yeah, go veggies and pick small fruits like berries. Those are going to be your best ones. And pick fruits that have a lot of peel relative to the pulp. I call it the peel to pulp ratio. You want more peel compared to pulp, and that's where the berries come in. If you have a lot of pulp and not a lot of peel, you're getting tons of sugar. And when there's naturally sugar found in plants, that's typically going to be a plant that's genetically modified to produce even more sugar. So you just got to be careful with fruits. Small amount of fruits, they do have obviously important nutrients in there, but go veggies as much as you can.
Okay.
All right, real quick, what's your question?
So I have a customer, a client of mine, Melinda. She's really a heavy woman. She says she has periodic limb movement disorder.
How old is she?
Depression and anxiety.
She's a mess. How old? No, don't, Brian. Hang on. I'm going to get you the answer here. It's not hard.
Okay.
I've seen this before. How old is she? First of all.
She's 44 years old.
Okay. She's majorly estrogen dominant. And it may have to do with foreign estrogens, xenoestrogens, but it probably has to do with how they're being produced in her body. Estrogen is made in fat. So the more fat you're carrying, the more fat cells you got, the more estrogen you're making. Estrogen will also make you fat. So the more fat cells you have, the more estrogen you're making, the fatter you're going to be. The more estrogen you're making, you get this downward spiral of estrogen dominance. So you got to cut that spiral off immediately. The first thing you want to do is work on the digestive system, improve her excretion of estrogen. Extremely important. Everything we talked about earlier today. fiber and probiotics and estrogen balancing supplements like vitamin E and zinc and aromatase inhibitors. Every single strategy we talked about here today to help her body process estrogen. Using progesterone cream and pregnenolone can help balance out her excess estrogen. She's got a lot of problems at this point. Her blood sugar is probably off. She's probably got inflammatory or maybe even an immune condition. That's what that limb issue is. But right now, first and foremost, you got to fix the estrogen problem. That's her job number one. All right, she's probably heavily medicated.
Yeah, she's on a lot of medication.
Well, that's messing it up. That's throwing things off as well. Prescription medication can have estrogenic properties. Prescription medication slows the body down. This is one of the big problems with estrogen, is it slows the body down. It's like a sluggishness type of hormone. So she's already going to be sluggish. Now the medication is going to make it worse. And you're going to have a tall order if you're her trainer, my friend. Get her on a rebounder. Or get an inversion device. You know what I'm talking about? Those inversion things where you hang upside down? Get her on one of those. Anything she could do to improve her circulation and improve elimination and processing of estrogen. That's job number one. She's got a lot of things to do, but that's job number one. And by the way, estrogen will keep you from building muscle. So if you're a trainer and you're trying to get her to build muscle, the estrogen is going to make it much more difficult. Conversely, the more muscle she's carrying, the more balanced, the less pronounced her estrogen effects are going to be. The more muscle mass she carries, the less pronounced her estrogen dominance and her estrogenic effects will be. So get her building muscle, but that's a tall order. So you got lots of stuff going on there. Number one, you got to work on the digestive system and improve her ability to process estrogen. Number two, get her on estrogen balancing nutrients like the vitamin E and the chrysin and tribulus we talked about earlier, and fiber and pregnenolone and progesterone, etc. And number three, get her moving the body, circulating, improving, especially lymphatic circulation. Estrogen is cleared largely out of the lymph, and when the lymph becomes stagnant, that's where estrogenic issues, including breast cancer, come in. So getting on a rebounder and moving the lymph, and even deep breathing can help move the lymph around as well. Thanks, Brian. Got to motivate. Hey, Kelly in North Carolina, you got something real quick for us?
Yeah, I've got a friend of mine here, and he has been diagnosed with something called essential tremors.
Yes, I know exactly I know a lot about it. Number one, Mighty 90 Essential Nutrients, sipping on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Number two, eliminating any problem foods if there are food problems, eliminating them and using probiotics and digestive support. And number three, make sure he's practicing slow, deep breathing, especially when he notices he's flaring up in his tremors. Slow, deep breathing. Got a lot more if you want to call back tomorrow, but we're just flat out of time, Kelly. I apologize. Thanks for listening, friends. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You've been listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back at you tomorrow with more good health information. Have an awesome, beautiful, spectacular day. We'll talk to you all later. Bye for now.